With the recent release of Mufasa the Lion King and my Disney Remake Universe theory, it's the perfect time to connect these two together. So welcome to Big Flick Energy, and let's get right into it. For starters, Mufasa tells the origin story of how Mufasa became king and how Scar became Scar. While based off that, it sounds like it should be a prequel to The Lion King and should be watched before that movie. However, this movie is told in the form of a story told to Kiara, daughter of Simba. So if you want to watch Mufasa first, you actually have the plot of The Lion King spoiled for you with all the details about the first movie Timon and Pumbaa give away. Meaning this movie should be watched after The Lion King, not before, and it's all told by Rafiki. So the movie then starts with Simba wanting to keep his father's legacy of the Circle of Life alive, as his family strives for that in every moment of life. It establishes this as a core value of his very early on, something which ties many of these movies in the entire Disney Remake universe together through reoccurring events and tropes. One thing this movie re-established that we know from The Lion King, which remains true, is that animals are animals in this movie. It's not like Jiminy Cricket that looks completely different. They look like animals and move like them. They're just more intelligent than humans make them to be, and are able to build their own societies and tell stories about places like Milele. The only animal that seems to have a greater purpose in terms of intelligence is Rafiki, but since he's a primate, he may be considered just to be more intelligent for that reason. Even then, I don't fully understand Rafiki yet, and don't know enough to pinpoint who he actually is, even with the additional information we learned about him that I'll mention later on in this video. But for this point, animals are animals, which establishes that the animals in this world are different from those in later films from other dimensions, as I established in that first Disney Remake theory. Just as a reminder, in that Disney Remake Universe theory video, I made it very clear that there are different dimensions that some of these characters can be coming from, the main dimension being Fantasyland that we see all these movies from. Then we also have Tomorrowland, Adventureland, Wonderland, and Neverland. Neverland being from Peter Pan and Wendy. And that all the magic that comes from this world probably comes from these other dimensions, either from there or from wishing upon a star, which I'll also get into right now. Now, as a Lion King movie should, there's some great songs in this movie, but none more famous than I Always Wanted a Brother. In that song, however, people may have missed a very important line. Taka, who will later be known as Scar, sings,
"Make a wish on the brightest star and I say I always wanted a brother."
Make a wish on the brightest star, he said. It doesn't mean much until you realize how often Disney uses this wishing upon a star trope. One we'll see again in 2025 with the Lilo and Stitch movie, where Lilo in the famous animated film wishes upon a star for, if I remember correctly, a best friend, which becomes Stitch. Just with that lyric, it may give us another situation like Geppetto making a wish on a star to make Pinocchio a real boy, where Taka actually wished upon a star to have a brother. These wishing stars keep on coming back into this world. However, as we know from the events of Aladdin, making a wish can have a very different effect from what was expected. Taka's wish to have a brother ultimately caused him his throne in return, granting a path for Mufasa to become king, and resulting in the entire plot of the famous The Lion King movie. Additionally, Rafiki's magic is something we got teases of in The Lion King, but this movie gives us part of his origin story by showing how he met Mufasa for the first time. His tribe of baboons feared him for his magical abilities and banished him away for this. How do we know he's magic? Firstly, he has dreams or hallucinations that eventually will come true, same as Mufasa in this movie, which once again ties into what we saw with Geppetto and Pinocchio with him having more knowledge than we think, to give him inspiration for his wooden clocks, which are a ton of Easter eggs for different movies in this world. And same for Alice in Wonderland, and the protagonist of Tomorrowland, which also saw visions or dreams, directing them to their future. Then we also saw Rafiki's magic when he literally causes the ground to quake and shatter in battle, making Rafiki a much stronger magic user than any of us thought before. But like I mentioned earlier in this video, we still have only scratched the surface of what Rafiki is and how his magic even works. I don't think we're going to go further into it, but I really hope that we get some additional context telling us how he has this power, how he has a spiritual connection, because we've learned a lot about Mufasa and his story, but there's still a lot to know about Rafiki. With that though, since this movie takes place so early in the timeline, with its only predecessor being The Lion King, there's not much else to go on, as there won't be any Easter eggs for other future movies in the Disney Remake universe, but rather there will only be teases of what we'll see in the future, like the continued circle of life, animal intelligence, and now the inclusion through this movie, wishing upon a star. So, thank you for watching this video. Please let me know what you think down in the comments, what you thought about this movie, and if you think they should make Lion King 2 live action, or give us a Rafiki origin story somehow. Tune in next week for either another Mufasa video, depending on how this one does, or a video of how the new Aardman movie fits into the DreamWorks universe. Thanks again for watching, and see you all next time on Big Flick Energy.